me again. Hope you're well. Chris Reardon with you. Today's United Kingdom talk. Once again, we're in the garden, but I've kind of put the, I think I've put the table in the wrong place where I like to sort of move the table around the garden so we have a different thing for those of you watching the show on YouTube to see. But I've just realised the sun is on one side of me rather than sort of in front of me, so it's only one only one half of my face is lit today. Now I gather the more professional people who do these videos have a little bit of white or something, and they kind of put it. Does that work? I don't know. They have like a white screen, and they kind of put it below to reflect the light. I don't know how it all works. That actually that's not too bad. Yes, that works, doesn't it? If you put a bit of, maybe I should just do the whole show with me holding a piece of white paper next to my face so it looks a little bit more better lit than it really is. Because if I move the bit of paper, I go in darkness on one side, don't I? It's a little bit like the moon. I have a face like the moon. Eh? It's all very mysterious, really. Anyway, my nephew Gary isn't too well at the moment. He's had to go in hospital, unfortunately. He's got a bit of an abscess on him somewhere. And so he's in hospital at the moment, but they'll sort him out. You know, it's one of those things. Unfortunately, he's a bit susceptible to that. He's got ingrowing... He keeps getting ingrowing hair. I don't know if anyone else has had that listening to the show today. And this is the second time he's had to go into hospital and have a bit of work done there, which is... but, I mean, as I say, they will sort it out. But I do get annoyed when I ring him on the hospital phone. Now, it's one of those hospitals here in the UK that have got phones by the bed. Fantastic idea, don't get me wrong. And I think also they also get a television, all within the one unit. I'm sure this is right. There's a television, telephone, excuse me, telephone. I think there's internet as well, and there's all these things. But when you ring them, okay, it's 39. I think it's 39 pence a minute off peak, which I'm not fussed about that. That's okay, you know. You can't expect it to be exactly the same when a service is being provided in that, and someone's got to pay for the cost of things. So fair enough, 39p a minute. But what I object to is that when you get through the first 2 minutes, it's got to be 2 minutes, the first 2 minutes of the call is like a long advert. Hello, you've called the patient's bedside line at Pilgrim's Hospital. Just to let you know that if you're on the phone for 5 minutes, the patient will receive 1 hour's free television. And it goes on and on. Selling you all this stuff. I mean, it's outrageous. By the time you get through, you know, the thing is, the time you get through, there's no guarantee that the person at the other end is going to pick up the phone. Because they might be asleep or something. So you've listened to 2 minutes to this damn recording, and then there's no guarantee that someone's going to pick up the phone. And I'm a little bit peeved with that, actually. That's a long time. It's not like a 10-second thing. It annoys me when you ring up mobile phones and someone has got a very long, a very long answer phone message, or they haven't got an answer phone message, they've got the default one from the mobile phone company. I mean, take, I think, Orange, for example. If you've got the default one on there, it's you have called, and then it goes to the number or something like that. When you have finished your message, press 1 to re-record or 2 to delete or something like that. Well, we all know that now. Why do we have to keep listening to this message? And it costs money, doesn't it? It costs money to listen to these blooming messages all the time. I don't know what it's like where you are. Have you got had someone in hospital recently? Huh? And had to go through one of these rather annoying multi-choice recording things? It really annoys me, the fact that you've got to do that for 2 minutes. Anyway, that's the way it is, isn't it? There's an email address to the show, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Talking to people that have been in hospital. Joe's mum, I hope, Christine, isn't it? I hope she's doing all right. OK, it's a long, long recovery for Joe's mum, who's in Tennessee. So I do hope she's doing all right, OK. Couple of programmes I've been watching on the... Oh, by the way, the snails in the garden problem. This year, so far, touch wood, which is my head, so far hasn't occurred. You might remember a few shows back now, I said to you this year I'm determined that they're not going to be a problem, because the last few years snails and slugs in this garden have been a very, very big... Oh, the sun's gone in now. Yeah. The other side of my face will now appear. God, it's quite hot on this side. Yes, the last few years I've had a big, big problem with snails and slugs in this garden, a huge problem with snails and slugs in this garden. But this year I was determined that I was going to be able to grow things for them not to be eaten by such nasty, slimy creatures. I mean, as I said before, you think they're slow movers, but they're not, you know. They wait until you've gone to bed, they come out while you're asleep, they eat everything, and then they disappear again. And you think, who's eating these? But me being clever, I know. It's the snails and the slugs. This year, hasn't happened yet. Why? Because as soon as it was damp, I started putting down the slug and snail pellets. Now, my dear friend Susan, who's a cat lover, has warned me about these, and if Katie was to ingest a few of them, it wouldn't be good for her. But she doesn't go anywhere near them, so I think they're all right with her. They've got some sort of anti-pets, I don't know, you know, so that the cats don't eat them. So there we are. So that seems to have worked this year. Snails have not been a problem. Nothing has been eaten. I mean, how do you know? I could be sitting here one day doing a show and there could be a snail munching away at me, at my leg. And by the end of the show, there'll only be, you know, a thin bit of me, like a plant stalk, sitting here, not able to talk. Now, wouldn't that be awful? Huh? If I wasn't able to talk, yes. Tomatoes, everything's doing very well. I'll show you the tomatoes as we go through the shows throughout the summer period to show you how well they're doing. I did show you on the last show, didn't I? Yes, the little ones are only about an inch big now. They've got 2 sets of leaves, and the bigger ones are coming up. The bigger ones have now got yellow flowers on, which indicates tomato production will be starting shortly. How exciting is that? Plus, we give away a tomato as a prize. Incidentally, talking of prizes, those of you that asked for a mug, and I think CW got a mat. There was a mouse mat left. I'll have to have a look in the cupboard, see what else is left, so we can give anything away. You should all have got your bits and pieces now. If you haven't, please email me and let me know. The email address of the show is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. And talking to people selling things, went in the post office just before I started the last show to get my car tax. Remember I told you about this? And it wasn't as easy as that. While I'm at the post office, as I'm in the post office queue, which is always long, it's always a long queue in the post office, this man come up to me and started trying to sell me a post office credit card. And I said, no, I'm not interested. Oh, what credit card do you use? And they go on, don't they? I've already told you once, dear. Go away. I mean, I don't like to think I'm the sort of person who's unfriendly. Except towards salesmen. They get on my blooming nerves. They really do. Anyway, no sooner was I past him, so I'm standing in the queue, waiting to be seen, and then I got called over. And as soon as I got called over, I stood there. I said, yeah, it's for car tax. So she says, OK. So she took the forms in, this woman behind the post office counter, and then she started trying to sell me stuff. Would you be interested in our post office? I said, no, he's already seen about that. Oh, OK then. Only we do a special... I said, I've already said no. Oh, right, OK then. So now she's looking at the documents that I have to hand in to get car tax. You have to hand in an M.O.T. Right, if you're outside the UK, you may not know what that is. That is a little certificate that you get where they do some basic checks on the car, and it has to pass all the checks, and then you get an M.O.T. certificate. It's things like tyres, brakes, windscreen wipers, lights, but just basic things, OK? It's not an indication of how safe the vehicle is. It's just those few tests. And any car that's over 3 years old here in the UK has to have an M.O.T. So I've got that form. So she's looking over this form now. And you also have to hand in your insurance, your annual insurance, which I handed over as well. So she's looking over this. Oh, by the way, did you know the post office do insurance? Very good price. It might be wise for you to go and check our prices. I said, no, that's okay. I said, I've done that now. Only it could be a lot cheaper. I said, well, I'll do it next time. There's a laptop over there if you want to quickly try. I said, no, I don't want to do it. I said, I've already got it. Please just do my car tax. Christ almighty. Talk about the hard sell. I mean, I think it's wrong where you go to the post office and they're allowed to try and blooming well sell you everything. I'm fed up with it. They must all be on a commission. That's all I can say. It's bad enough when you go to somewhere like Currys.digital and you try and buy something in there and they start whittering on about their extended warranties, which I mentioned countless times on this programme. I don't buy extended warranties. Just a waste of money. It really is. You know, let me just get comfy. Let's be honest about it. Some of us are going to be unlucky and occasionally something will break down. But I sometimes wonder, what is the percentage of that? And I said on a previous show, you could have extended guarantees for 10 to 15 items in your home when they're not all going to break down, are they? I think one item I would consider having an extended warranty, or two items, would be the boiler and my washing machine. I think that's about it. There's nothing else really that goes wrong, is there? But the washing machine's got a lot. I wish I hadn't said that. You can just see tomorrow I shall be here in a couple of days' time doing the next show telling you that nothing works anymore. But, you know, things with moving parts are always a little bit dodgy, aren't they? And your car as well. I did get offered an extended warranty for the car. For 3 years, that would cost £500. But again, then, I haven't bought it. I didn't buy it. It's just a lot of money, although I do have a high mileage car. But I have a Toyota. I've got a little Toyota Aygo. And Toyota are known for being reliable over the years. I mean, very, very reliable cars. And that's why I bought it. So do I need the extended warranty as well? I probably think not. Anyone else had experience of people trying to sell you things in the post office? Honestly, only went in there to do the car tax. Sell. Fed up with it. Fed up with all this selling stuff all the time. So that's that. A couple of programmes I've been watching. First of all, this programme, I've never seen it before, but it's been on a while, called Come Dine With Me. OK? Now, I'm not a fan on food programmes or doing up your house programmes. I think it's cheap television and it's trash. Absolute trash. Another programme was, I was flicking through the channels yesterday afternoon. I saw this programme. It was a cookery programme, and they were doing some sort of pudding, and it was a great big white plate, and in the middle, that you could only see with a microscope, was the tiniest pudding you've ever seen in your entire life, and there was a bit of jam drizzled around it prettily. Please tell me, what is the point of going in a restaurant and having that? You'd be starving afterwards. You would absolutely be starving hungry afterwards, something like that, wouldn't you? What's it called? Cordon bleu. That's it. I think it's cordon bleu. I might be wrong there, not sure. And they do it with the dinners as well, don't they? Huge, great big white plates, right in the middle. There's this tiny bit of whatever it is, pie or bit of meat or something like that. A bit of oil drizzled in a fancy pattern, and then they shove a bit of parsley on the side. I want to be fed, dear. I want to be fed. I don't want to sit there and look at the blooming thing. God's sake. I mean, for example, let's go to something completely different to that. After I recorded the last show, I had some bits and pieces to do. I had to go back down to Halford's. Problem with the bike. I'll tell you that in a minute. And I got to the bike shop and sorted out what I had to sort out. And I thought, do you know what? I fancy a Morrisons breakfast this morning. A Morrisons full English breakfast. You've got to have one of those. If you're in the UK, you must experience a Morrisons full English breakfast. I have them not regularly, now and again. And I know I'm watching the weight, but blimey, you've got to do it sometimes, haven't you? So I went in Morrisons and you get 2 sausages, 2 bits of bacon, you get baked beans, half a tomato, you get those potato, is it hash browns, the fried potato things, piece of fried bread, 2 eggs, 2 bits of toast, a cup of tea, £5. Thank you very much. £5 for all that. And there's these people on the telly cooking these microscopic meals and charging an absolute... I don't know how they get away with it. I really don't know how these restaurants doing those tiny portions get away with it, because I won't go to one. Won't get a penny out of me, thank you very much. Much more happier going to Morrisons for my breakfast. Anyway, this programme, Come Dine With Me, is one of the most awful programmes I've ever seen in my entire life. What it involves is a number of people, I think it's 4 people, and they each take turns with cooking a meal for the other 3. I'm sorry, my papers are getting blown all over the place here. They each get... Perhaps I'll put that microphone up there. There we are. They each take a turn cooking a meal for the other 3 people, right? And then the other 3 people come round and they eat the meal, and then, away from the host of that particular night, they criticise it. It's just awful. Awful. And sometimes the 4 people around the table don't get on and start rowing. I mean, it's just awful. And at the beginning of the programme, it starts, and, obviously it's all staged and what have you at the beginning of the show. But it's usually... The programme starts with a little bit of filming going on in the kitchen, and it shows you the host of that particular night, one of the 4, cooking the meals and doing all the other bits and pieces. And then, as they're cooking, the other ones start to arrive. So, I mean, obviously this is all timed for the television. So, you hear the doorbell or the door knocker ring or knock, and then the host goes to the door and opens the door. "Hello, darling, how are you?" And they throw their arms and they give kisses, and it looks so false. It is so awfully, awfully false. What a terrible show. And I cannot believe... I mean, don't get me wrong here. It wouldn't be on the telly if people weren't watching it. I can't believe people watch that rubbish. As well as some more rubbish that is about to arrive on the screens of the United Kingdom television channel 4. Big Brother, that's coming back again. No, we will not be doing Big Brother updates on here. I have no interest at all in rubbish television like that. It's cheap trash. And yet millions of people, they love it. They love it. But there are plenty of people like myself who don't like it as well. Dreadful programme. Anyway, so back onto this programme. Let me see. So they start eating the food, okay, and conversations sort of arrive at the table while they're munching away on this food. Do you know what? Can I just get 1 minute? I'm going to get my I've got a little elephant over there, which I'm going to get to allow me to because the papers keep blowing away. Let me just go and get what's it called? A paperweight. That is not really a paperweight, but I'm going to use it as one. Let me just go and get that. All right. Won't be thinking. Let my paperweight have a glass of water behind me, which you can't see. There we are. Oh, I think I've just swallowed a grass slip. A little elephant here. All right. Oh, sorry. 1 minute. It's the 12 o'clock time signal going off there. And I can hear my mobile phone. That's upstairs. I should turn that off. Can you hear it? Listen. No, I don't think you can hear it. Yes, I've got a little 2 things here. A little elephant and a little or two elephants, actually, two little elephants, kindly sent to me by the lovely Ivona in Slovakia. And she often sends me little things in the post, which is always very nice of you, Ivona. Thank you very much, darling. Right, so what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, come dine with me. And then they sit there, and one will say something, someone will say something that someone else doesn't like. And then they start arguing at the table. And sometimes they end up in tears while they're eating their meal. How can you say that? And all this business. And it's just dreadful. Just absolutely dreadful. I mean, you'd be better. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want them if they rung me and says, "Oh, hello, Chris Reardon, international celebrity, award-winning DJ, landlord, broadcaster, environmental conservationist, pilot, plumber, master of merriment, connector, and your fairy godmother. Chris Reardon, would you like to come dine with me?" No, thank you. Oh, can you just imagine that? These people coming round to your house, criticising you. No, thank you. I tell you what, I'd rather, as I do now, sadly, I'd rather be in the living room with my dinner on my lap, eating that on my own, rather than have that lot come round. And they're usually completely up their own bums as well. You know the sort of people, don't you? Just awful, awful. Come dine with me. Your thoughts on that, if you've ever seen it. Would you want a camera crew to come round your house, watch you cook a meal, give it to these ungrateful people who then sit there and criticise it? And don't say to me, yeah, but that's the nature of the programme. So well it might be, but it's just horrible. Horrible, horrible television. Your thoughts on that, please. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. I mean, the only thing is, of course, with eating dinner on trays on your lap in the living room on a settee, is that you do sometimes get a little bit of food go down the side, don't you? Come on, be honest, boys and girls. When is the last time you moved those cushions and found crumbs under there? Eh? Or sometimes, if you're very lucky, you find coins down the side, don't you? Eh? Crumbs everywhere. It's awful. Awful. I just hate the way on that programme that away from the other three, they're taken aside and they talk on camera, and they got the audacity to criticise people, to criticise the person that's just cooked them the meal. I mean, I've got to be honest, I'm a bit fussy with my food, I have to say. But if someone cooked me a meal and I wouldn't sit there and tell them, no thank you. I'd just keep my mouth shut, eat as much as I could, which might only be a couple of mouthfuls if it's something foreign. Oh no, dear. You know, if it's like I can't stand Chinese or Thai or anything like that, don't say try it, because I have. I don't like it. End of story. Horrible taste. Vile, vile, vile. But that's only me as a person, okay? You know, if I went round there and unfortunately it was a child, I would try and eat a couple of bits and keep my mouth shut. Wouldn't go and... Because, you know, you've got to be grateful, haven't you? Be grateful for what they've done. I don't know. I mean, there is this other programme at the moment that I've got into. It's called Blood, Sweat... Oh, there's flies everywhere. They're not coming off me, are they? Did you hear that? Buzz. It's called Blood, Sweat and Takeaways. And it's this programme about this group of youngsters who go to different parts of the world and find out how the fast food arrives at their table. And it is the most eye-opening show, I tell you. And it's awful. It's terrible. Last week's show, or it might have been the week before, they were doing from Indonesia, and I've done two shows so far. One was on tuna fish, and the other was on prawns. And this week's programme was on tuna fish, okay? And this group of youngsters are split up and stay with people who work somewhere along the line making the prawns that we eat here in the UK. Not me, I'm not a fan of prawns. But they get there, and usually they're taken around the house and usually they're sleeping on the floor in the house. Insects everywhere. Okay, you see insects in these houses, and the people hosting the youngsters are normal families, workers at the factory as well. And one has to remember that that's how they live. I mean, it's probably not the same as you live or I live, but that is how they live. And there was a couple of things on this particular programme that stood out for me. I mean, it's a real eye-opener. These people do not live a life of luxury. They get absolutely bare minimum wage that they just about live on. And they work so hard. They work so hard for their money. They really do. So these youngsters are taken in the house and are usually shown the house. And some of them, can't hide the look on their face where they're not happy about where they're staying. But you have to remember that these people have opened their doors, for these youngsters to stay. You can't start criticising. How can you do that? And one of the other youngsters was shown he said, can you show me where the toilet is? And they showed him the toilet. And the toilet was nothing like our toilets. It was just basically a hole. There's nowhere to sit down. It's a hole in the ground and you stand over it and that's it. And this lady who owned the house, or I don't know how it works, she probably owned the house, and she opened the door and the boy went into the toilet and quickly came back out and was sick. I mean, it's just not nice, is it, to do that because of the way someone else lives. Of course, the woman was horrified at this and quickly ran into the toilet to check that there wasn't a mess. And there wasn't. I mean, you must accept how other people live. And that goes for religion as well. I accept all religions. Whatever people are, that's it. Fine. I'm Catholic, okay? But I do not. I would not throw that down someone's throat. If someone is, I don't know, Jewish, Buddhist, whatever, fine, that's okay with me. No problem. I was seeing someone once. He was Muslim, and he a couple of times a day he would ask, "Oh, I'm just going into your living room to do my prayers." That's fine. No problem at all. We have to be more accepting, I think. And these kids, I don't know, maybe he couldn't stop himself being sick. But for Christ's sake, that's someone else's house. You can't show your emotions like that. I think a lot of people are now taught to be very strongly opinionated. And it's just the way sometimes that people's opinions hurt. It's horrible. It's horrible. I'm sure a lot of the older generation, no, not just the older generation, but I certainly, if I don't like something or whatever, I will hold it back. Unless you've specifically done something to really annoy me, okay? If perhaps there's... Okay, well, I put shows on. While I'm DJing, I work the buttons for shows. I work with singers, drag queens, all sorts, comedy people. If I think the show was, or if I think they're not up to it, I won't tell them. I won't make a point of going in and telling them. Other people would, and I just think that's so downright nasty. Anyway, so these people then started doing some work. And a couple of the different jobs they did, one of them was to... there's a big, pond. I don't know what it's a pond, or what would you call it? Yes, like a very large pond. And in this pond are farmed all the prawns. Okay, so it's got hundreds of millions of prawns in this big big pond, and it's enormous. I mean, it's not a little pond, and more of a huge lake. Okay, more of a huge lake. Now, one of the things in Indonesia is that they get a lot of water coming down from the sky. So, around the lake, they have to build up the walls. Now, these are not concrete walls like in a reservoir that we have here in the UK, you know, for our water. These walls are made of mud, and they have to continually get in the lake, grab bits of mud, and put them on the side to keep the wall high, because otherwise, when the rains come, the water level rises and all the prawns can get out. They go over the mud walls and then they lose all their stock. So one of the jobs they had to do was to get in the lake, pick up great big chunks of mud and then put them on the side there. What a back-breaking job that was. And of course, compared to the Indonesians, they were incredibly slow. It's not a job I'd like to do at all. And one of the other things that they were, where do we go to the toilet? And on this pier was like a little hut. Oh, that's the toilet over there. So this girl says, oh, thanks very much. So she went in there, she opened the door, and there was nothing there except a hole in the floor, so your toilet would just go straight in to the very lake that they're working in. Oh no! Can you imagine working in it? And it's just like floats by. But that's how it is. I wouldn't do that job, not for all the money in the world. But people do it. That's the way they do it. Amazes me really, because you see these when you buy. I mean, I don't buy them, but you see prawns in supermarkets, frozen ones or whatever, and they always come in this packet. And on the front of the packet, they've got little happy prawn faces with pictures of crystal clear waters. Couldn't be further from the truth. This dirty old lake is where they're all grown and what have you. So that was one job they did. And then they go in the factory, and they have to take the heads off and de-shell them and all that business. And one of the girls fainted. It was so hot in there, she fainted. And I think the regular staff in there have to do something like 100 prawns. No, I think it was about... Oh, I can't remember. I think it was something like 80 prawns an hour. They de-head and shell 80 prawns an hour. I think that's I might be wrong with that figure. And they're so quick with their fingers. And it's very hygienic in there. They've all got to wear masks around their face. They've got to have their hair covered in like a hat, and they have to have rubber gloves on. Really very, very hygienic. And this place looks spotless. Absolutely spotless. And of course these kids, they can't keep up with it. And it's a real eye-opener. So if you haven't seen that, do have a look at that. I think it's on BBC Three, and it's called Blood, Sweat and Takeaway. Blood, Sweat and Takeaways. The wages the staff get there are just tiny. And when the kids got their wages, they spent the entire day's wages on one McDonald's. Which, is, in my mind, is just stupid. They should have gone and had a look around and, you know... I mean, I've always been a bit like that with the McDonald's. Don't get me wrong, McDonald's serve their purpose. Very, very rarely, 3 or 4 times a year, I will have one. Usually when I'm at my sister's. But it's an expensive way to eat. Even their £1 cheeseburgers or 99 pence cheeseburgers, it's an expensive way to eat. You get an entire loaf of bread for £1. Which can last you all week. It does make me laugh sometimes when people come up to me, oh, I've got no money. At the moment they get some money, they're off to McDonald's or for an Indian takeaway or something. And no wonder you've got no money. They get cabs everywhere. Got no money, all get a cab. Won't get a bus, got to get a cab. A stupid way to live. So that's that. I mean, they really were like robots in that prawn factory. And the fastest workers, how much do you think the fastest workers get there? Huh? 36 pence an hour. That's all they get 36 pence an hour for their fastest workers. Unbelievable. Right, it's email time, boys and girls. Thank you very much to Irvin Distiller, who wrote in the today that all emails received this week will eventually go out in June. Or July, rather. I know, we do fall behind because I can't shut my mouth. That sun's quite warm now on the side of my face. So I've only got one half of me lit today. Let's hold the paper up here. See, does it have to be that close? How does that work? These shining reflector. Maybe I should get one of those reflector things. How do they work? I don't even know. You see, that's the problem. I don't know how these things work. Do you put them on the floor? If you have to have them on some sort of stand, surely the wind would take those off, would they? I don't know. It's lovely out here in the garden today. So I'm so lucky to have a garden like this, and so lucky not to be working in that blooming prawn factory. No, thank you very much. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is my email address. From Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Who writes, I finally went to see the Star Trek film at the nearby theatre. At last, Lisa. Well, thank God you got in there before it had gone. It's not the same watching these things on DVD. She said, I was so glad I did. It was really a fun movie. I told you. Chris isn't going to give you false information, is he? Eh? I tell you a good film when I see it, and I'll tell you a bad film when I see it. And the last bad film I saw was the last James Bond. Rubbish. Not funny. Not clever. All about looks. Not good. Bring back Roger Moore, that's what I say. Lisa says, like Babyface, a.k.a. James Dean. Yeah, he is Babyface, and I reckon he puts all that stuff on his face. If you're not wondering who James Dean is, he hosts a matinee show, matineeshow.co.uk. And he's got a baby face. He's 28, but he gets ID'd. He gets ID'd in pubs. Unbelievable. Like Babyface, a.k.a. James Dean, I'm not a very hardcore fan of the series. However, I was really enjoying the film from beginning to end. I found the references to the TV show, original Star Trek, very, very witty. Yeah, me too. Me too. I thought they were as well. Carl in Yorkshire wrote in to say that the bit that I thought was connected to the series actually wasn't at all. I thought this woman's name was Desiree, and the production of the original series was Desiree. But come on, Carl. I mean, they're very, very similar. Can't you see that? Can't you see life is not logical? Stop. Why do people look for reasons for everything? Stop being so blooming logical and just accept the fact that, yes, some people are actually quite witty. And I could see it even if you couldn't. There was a definite connection there. And you couldn't see it, could you? Because it doesn't fit into the box, so to speak. God, Carl. I think even the kids who are not old enough to recall the original TV series will still enjoy the film and get most of the humour. I think so as well. She enjoyed the show dated Thursday, May the 28th, which was a couple of weeks ago. She said, James is such a tattletale. What's a tattletale? I don't know what that is. What is that? A tattletale. He's such fun, though. You two are a great team. You play well off each other. Good chemistry off air. Or on air, rather. Well, be good, Chris. Till next time. Hugs from Lisa. So thank you, Lisa. Why do people think James Dean is good looking? That does annoy me, that does. It really does. It's funny, actually. As you get older, you do see more beauty around you. Do you remember being 20, 21, and you'd be in a club full of people and there'd be no one you liked around your own age? Strange, isn't it? Well, not even older or younger. There'd just be no. God, there's 200 people, and they're all ugly. As you get older, you see more and more beauty in life. You can see that actually there are very, very few ugly people in this world. The only one I know is James Dean. But you do see that as you get older, you do see more and more beauty. Another one from Wayne here, who's become a bit of a regular correspondent recently, hasn't he, Wayne? Who writes, hope you're well. I'm getting rather regular with these emails. Better to be regular than to be bunged up, Wayne. OK, it really is. One of your new shirts, I thought I was... Oh, have I read this? 1 minute. I've read this one. I know I've read this. Sorry. Read that one, Wayne. Hang on, I'm getting confused here. Yep, it's OK. I did that the other day, didn't I? I read out an email. I think I read out an email on 3 shows. Same email. Quick one here from Chris via YouTube. His username there is C Williams 1976. Hello, Chris. Who wrote a quick email here. You are so cool. I don't know about that. I wouldn't consider myself cool, Chris. And after looking at Chris's YouTube, where are these flies coming from? Seem to have a bit of a problem. The snails have gone, but oh, I know what it is. The flies are probably feeding off the dead snails. That's probably what's going on anyway. They'd disappear soon enough, wouldn't they? Yes, I looked at Mr. Williams's YouTube site, and he's into a lot of things that I'm into, such as little TV things, the bits in between the programmes, and sort of test card music and all that. It's all very anarchy, but I do like that sort of thing. I have some very strange music in my car while I'm driving around sometimes. It's true. Thank you, Chris. Good luck with your move. I think you've moved to Crawley now, haven't you? Because he has been... Blooming flies! I'm getting really fed up, and they're buzzing. I'm going to get one in a minute, I'll tell you. How comes they're so quick, flies? Come on, just land on here once more time. I'm going to get you this time. No, missed it. One more time, come on. Here's one, here's one. No, not good. I'm going to get one now before I carry the show on. I'll tell you that now. I'm fed up with these flies. I don't know where they're coming from. Would they be coming from a specific area? Let me see if I can spot them. No, they're just generally in the air. Where have they gone now? They've gone. They're probably all hiding now behind a tree, waiting to all land in at the same time. I'll get one of them in a minute. I'm telling you now. Fed up with it. Come on. Where are you now? You can't get a fly to... There's one there, there's one there, there's one there. No! Where do they go? Yes! Got it! There you are. Now stop landing on me. Got one. Oh, it's very vicious of me then, wasn't it? Was it vicious? I think I'd quite like to do cage fighting. Do you like that? Cage fighting. Oh, that's a sexy sport, that is. Cage fighting. You get no fat people doing it, do you? Like me. You don't get anyone out. They're all like really trim, gorgeous bodies, and they go in this cage and they fight. Oh, and I have to sit down and have a glass of water. It's too much for me, dear. It's much, much more sexier than boxing. Boxing's a bit boring, isn't it? You've got those puffy gloves on, dear, and you just whack each other all the time until someone gets no. Cage fighting is much more contact. Well, I could see myself doing that. I could. Right, here's the one from Wayne I was going to read. It says, hi, Chris. A couple of shows ago, it took you only 14 minutes to get to the point. I think you need a stopwatch in the corner of the screen which starts when you start a story. Just an idea. Well, actually, I do have... Look at this here. Well, I've got here a clock which tells me how long I've done so far. And I need that because the show... Oh, no. I'm getting blown away. Because the show has to be 57 minutes long. See, so I do have a clock there, but it doesn't tell me how far I've got into one story and when I'm going into the next. Wayne says, firstly, I agree what you say about Reading. It's second to Slough for being the worst place in Berkshire. This is why I don't live in Reading. Well, he says that. He says I don't live in Reading. He says, in fact, I live 4 miles outside Reading. Well, I mean, that's hardly far away from... I could walk 4 miles in 10 minutes, Wayne. I mean, I could. I think you're clutching at straws here, dear. You're clutching at straws. in a very nice village. I only told you Reading because I know how bad you are with place names and where places are. Toker's Green is the village name. Oh, that sounds nice. Toker's Green. Do you remember the song, Toker's Miracle? I need a miracle, miracle. That was popular, wasn't it? About 10 years ago now. God. Talking of where places are, about 6 weeks ago, I see the Google Street View cameras in and around Reading. So I don't think it will be long before Reading is on the Google Street Views map. Well, I mean, people will see for themselves there once that's happened, won't they, Wayne? They will see. You won't need me to be telling you how awful it is there. You will see for yourself. I mean, some of these places make me laugh. They think they can bring a place up by building a posh shopping centre. And in my mind, it makes it even worse. I just hate... I mean, we've got one here in Bracknell where I do most of my shopping. It doesn't mean I like it. I do not like shopping centres. Horrible, clinical, nasty places. They cost a fortune to build these places, and you don't need them. Little individual shops all along the high street are so much nicer, don't you think? Huh? Well, you don't like shopping centres. Wayne says, your weight isn't depressing. That's why James Dean is laughing his head off. Mind you, I have to say, he is getting fit. Oh, dear. I just can't see it, I'm sorry. I can't see James Dean being fit. Is it me? I mean, I know I did say a few moments ago that you can see beauty everywhere. I look at James, I can't see it. Can't see it at all. He says, whoops, I forgot to write the email about rats. Well, here goes. Oh, my God. It's another rat story. In September 2007, our dishwasher stopped. Now, he's telling us this because we all, round this area, we all had a letter from the council. We all had a letter telling us not to leave scraps of food down for little animals. Poor little things are going around here starving now. At least they got my snails to eat. Anyway, he goes on. So we called out an engineer. The engineer examined the machine and noted that the outlet pipe to the drain had been chewed. After looking, we noticed rat droppings. We then called out the council rat man, who said the rat had got in through the drain pipe and that's why the pipe had been chewed. After examining the kitchen more, it turns out that the rat had destroyed 2 kitchen cabinet bases. My mum, who I live with, burst into tears. Oh, cuddles for your mum. It's not her fault. Nothing. Mums don't do anything wrong. They don't. Mum burst into tears and said, how can this be as we are so clean and never leave waste out, and our bins are kept in wheelie bins, so why us? And his reply was, I've noticed actually, since I killed that fly, not a single other fly has landed here. They must tell each other, don't go near that table, there's a nasty man there. Do you reckon? Not a single fly has landed on this table since I killed that other one. I think there's something to be learnt there, isn't there? Yes, definitely. There's a bee over there now. He won't bother me. Bees don't bother me at all. Very necessary bees, aren't they? Why do they keep dying at the moment, don't they? They reckon we've got a problem with bees. It would be terrible without bees. What are we going to do? Who's going to pollinate the food? I'm going to have to walk around all my plants with a cotton wool bud, fertilising them myself. Isn't it? Putting the cotton wool bud in one flower and then putting it in another. I have to do it all myself. Wayne says, his reply was, I would think that one of your neighbours is feeding birds and maybe even putting things on the ground like bird seed. Rats will eat in one place and then find a clean, dry place to build a nest and live. Unfortunately, it's the clean people... Oh, that sun's bright now. I shall have to put on my extra cool sunglasses. There we are. Looking very, very cool now, except that the light's on one side of my face. Rats will eat in one place and then find a clean place to build a nest and live. Unfortunately, It's the clean people that get rats and not the people that feed them. My mum said yes. I think next door an elderly couple have been feeding the birds. Feed the birds. Tuppence a bag. Tuppence. Tuppence. Tuppence a bag. The council rat man then went next door to look. Cut a long story short, something which I'm not known for very often, Wayne, our neighbours got a council order imposed on them to not feed the birds, and if it was broken, they'd have to go to court. And we had to have our whole kitchen replaced at a cost of £15,000, which would replace a kitchen which was only 5 years old. Wow. So he says, please stop feeding the rats. I mean the birds. Well. That's a lot of money, isn't it? So presumably you said something to your neighbours and they just carried on feeding the birds, did they? Difficult, isn't it? Very, very difficult indeed. But what can you do if you're getting the blooming rats in? What are they putting down, for God's sake, I wonder? Funny you should mention your kitchen having to be replaced there. My kitchen is... I had it done as soon as I was moved here, so that was 1992. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. My kitchen's 7... Wasn't 1992, was it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... Blimey, I've been here 17 years. Good God. Well, I didn't realise that. I've been in this house 17... And I love it here. I love it here. I can't believe I've been here 17 years now. Wow. But so that kitchen is 17 years old that I've got now, and little things are starting to fail. It was only a cheap kitchen at MFI, but at the moment one of the drawer runners has gone a bit wrong, so the drawer gets stuck as it come out. So I'm not quite sure where to find one from because MFI has now closed. I'll look on eBay when I finish the show. That'd be the way to look, wouldn't it? He says, by the way, I've got a passport for Bracknell. Yes, because if you come to Bracknell, you will need your passport stamped on entry. We don't let anyone in here, dear. Good God, no. This is a well-respected community, Bracknell. It's like the posh part of Reading. It really is. Mind you, you haven't got to go much further to find a posh part other than Reading. I tell you that now. Brixton is posher than Reading. It is. He says, many years ago I was at your house when Lewis was your lodger. Do you know, I didn't know that. What was you doing round here with Lewis then? Was there goings on? I hope not in my house. Goings on in my house? Permission should be asked for that. I don't have a lodger now. Oh no, we can't be doing all that, dear. I've got the cat, that's it. That keeps me. She always comes and says hello to me, dear. So there we are. Thank you, Wayne. Nice to hear from you, sir. I must look on eBay, actually, for that thing later on. Let me see. Where are we going now? Ooh. There's actually a lot of emails from Wayne here, but we'll save some for the next show. Ah, here we are. Robert in Iceland, how are you, sir? And Robert writes, Chris, did you hear the rumour that they might have announced the winner of the Eurovision Song Contest from the International Space Station? No, I didn't hear that rumour. You did all right, didn't you, Iceland? Second. She was good. My votes were for Iceland. Who was it won? Norway won in the end, wasn't it, for the Eurovision Song Contest? Iceland was second, so well done. Thank God you didn't win. You wouldn't have been able to afford to put on that show, would you? Huh? Millions that costs, dear. I think for 1 year they should try doing a Eurovision Song Contest outside. You know, one of those outside theatres. You'd have to have somewhere warm doing it for that, like Spain or Italy or somewhere like that. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Eurovision Song Contest, amphitheatre. Outside, one of those outside theatres, that'd be good. Can I add my thoughts on the swine flu, or piggy pox, as I'm calling it, Robert says? I'm with Wayne on the fact that we are getting this piggy pox out of proportion. Over 30,000 people die from normal flu each year in the States. I do understand that this could be more serious and that we should take precautions, but that is all. Try avoid putting fingers in or near your face wash your hands, and for heaven's sake, use a tissue. Always use a tissue. There's a little box of tissues right next to my bed that I use regularly to wipe up my sneezing and anything else that needs to be done. Face masks, no. For they tend to get wet they get wet from one's breath, and that is a perfect place for germs to breed. Do what you were doing and eat fruit and veg, which I do. I need your advice, though, on carton juice, because I don't see any difference between that and fresh fruit. It might make a difference if it came right off the tree, but sitting inside the peel must be the same as a carton. I don't know. Obviously, the best way to eat a fruit would be to pick it off a tree and eat it. I personally feel the second best way is to buy your oranges and squeeze them when required. I think in a carton, and it's been pasteurised, I don't think that's as good as the other two methods, but I've got no reason to say that. I haven't investigated this, okay? It's cost me a fortune to have my elves vaccinated, and they don't even like pork. He's added, oh yes, Robert has elves living with him, and to this, one of them came out in rashes. It took me ages to say that it was not the piggy pox. After hearing your little United Kingdom talk, the little dears are refusing to come out from under the stairs. That's from Robert the Viking. Thank you very much. Thank you as always for your emails. Keep them coming in. They do take a little while to come up, as Irvin Distiller kindly pointed out. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is my email address. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Thanks for watching or listening to the show today. I'll see you in the next one. Myself, Chris Reardon. Bye-bye now.